The new Madden 24 update has just officially dropped. EA put it out a little bit ago, so we have a lot to cover today. We have gameplay updates, franchise updates, superstar mode updates, new face scans, player likeness, presentation, and more. Now, I'm really glad that they got this update out this week instead of next week, because I was kind of thinking it was going to be more early next week, but they surprised us and they dropped it today on Thursday, so let's get right into it. First off, they did put a little bit of a dev note in here for the last gen players on Gen 4. It says Gen 4 player experience. Since our last title update, some players have reported slower experience on Gen 4. The MUT team has made adjustments across the entire MUT hub to improve loading and transition times for all platforms. So if you're on last gen, your menus and your lagginess should be better now. Now we're jumping over to the new gen consoles, which is where the bulk of the updates are. Starting with gameplay, it says tuning to lower the ratings threshold for catching interceptions on competitive game style to decrease the number of dropped interceptions. This applies to open catches, since physical contact with a player or the ball can still cause the ball to be knocked out. So they finally addressed the catching issue. Hopefully this has resolved it. The wide open drop picks were just absolutely crazy online, and the dropped catches on offense were crazy as well. So this is something that was complained about. EA said a while back that they were going to fix this. Hopefully the fix is now in with this update. Continuing on with catching here, it says they fixed an issue causing undesired catch drops when the QB would get hit during or shortly after throwing the ball. In our September title update, we included a fix to decrease the chance for defenders to catch the ball quickly after a QB pass out of a hit, but that fix had the unintended result of decreasing the chance to catch passes during or after a QB hit globally. In response, we are backing that change out of the game to return the catch chances to previous values. This will temporarily reintroduce situations that allow pass rushers to sometimes catch the ball when the QB throws out of a hit, but we plan to refine that logic without impacting the global catch chance in an upcoming title update. So for a bit of time now, you might see some more defensive ends or even defensive tackles occasionally catching those picks at the line of scrimmage when your QB gets hit, but you'll have less drop passes from your wide receivers. So I think for now, that's the balance that we're just going to have to go with until they can fix the defensive line without causing drops overall. Now, it did specify competitive game style here, but on Twitter, one of the devs said that this also does apply to the simulation game style as well. So if you do play on sim, like in franchise mode, this should apply there as well. Now, in terms of the catching fixes, it does sound like they made the drops better. The only annoying things are going to definitely be D-line picks being more prominent. Definitely not something we love to see, but also it sounds like contested catches are still going to be drops pretty often, which some people may like that. I know a lot of people more competitively don't like it, because if you're throwing into coverage, it's considered a bad read. You want to be rewarded with the interception, but you're probably still going to drop a good amount of those. Continuing on here with the gameplay updates, it says they fixed an issue causing the curl flat defender in 3-4 odd SS Trap 2 to align to the wrong side of the field against empty sets. They fixed an issue causing safeties and cornerbacks to have flipped assignments when covering offensive formations with 3 tight ends. That's actually a pretty underrated fix in my opinion. They also fixed an issue allowing the ball carrier to have no fumble chance when diving. After this fix, ball carriers will have a higher risk of fumbling when diving into traffic. This is also a pretty significant fix, because if you play online especially, you know that most people, when they get near the goal line, they just dive, because it's almost an automatic touchdown to an extent. You can still get hit and fall short, but there wasn't really a big fumble chance if you got hit before you actually broke the plane. So now there's going to be that risk when you dive that you could fumble before actually breaking the plane, which can really change how people operate inside the 5-yard line. They also fixed the size of the passing accuracy meter. They fixed an issue sometimes allowing unblocked defenders when using block and release routes in empty formations. It says here, eligible receivers with a block and release assignment will not go into their route until they have at least made contact with the blitzing defender that they are targeting. The blocker will stay in the engagement for a very short period of time, then release on his route, which I think is another good fix, because once they kind of changed these a couple years back, it feels like the block and release routes just released way too quickly. Like they didn't even try to block anything first. So I think this is actually a better fix. But hold up, stop right there really quickly. If you want to win some money and you think you know sports like even a little bit, then you need to be signed up at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy's pick'em game is one of my favorite things to play while I'm watching sports. They have a wide variety of player stats, and all you simply have to do is either pick higher or lower, and if you know sports at all, this is pretty easy, and if they hit, you win money. And the best part about Underdog Fantasy is if you sign up using my promo code RAY, they're going to give you a free play right off the bat for tonight's game game, it's going to be Derrick Henry to get a single yard. If you sign up after the night and you want to play for Sunday, it'll be Lamar Jackson. On Monday, it'll be Justin Herbert. And no matter when you sign up, there's always going to be a free play like this, but they also double your first deposit up to $500, which is insane, meaning however much you deposit up to $500, they give you that same amount back in your account for free to play with, and you can turn that into real winnings. Now let's jump into franchise mode. There are a few fixes and updates here. It says NFL games scheduled in Germany will now be played at the Deutsche Bank Park. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. That is the stadium in Germany where they now have some games. So you can now play in their actual stadium as it was added to the game in this update. They fixed an issue where the weekly strategy selection would reset to default after completing a mini game with a focus player. They fixed a rare crash that would occur in game when a player from a downloaded draft class would occasionally have incomplete player data. They fixed an issue where the halftime report during the game would sometimes show the wrong teams/scores, and they had various news story text bug fixes. Now, I have seen people in franchise still saying there's still some wonkiness with draft classes. Some people say they work fine, but I've seen a few people here and there say they're still having problems with editing and sometimes the players reverting to the same number. I also don't see anything mentioned here about the fatigue bug. I've seen people complaining about that where they get into the playoffs or later in the season and their starters keep getting subbed out. I believe there is a workaround for that. However, I'm not 100% sure what it is because I don't play franchise. I'm going to try to get that information for you guys because I do believe there is a workaround to kind of limit your starters getting subbed out, but don't see anything here in the patch update that has addressed anything with that. They also didn't make any updates to the Play Now Live, which I know a ton of people have been complaining about. Now, like I said in previous videos, as of last year, they stopped doing weekly updates to the Play Now Live. And instead, what they did last year was they did a few updates throughout the year. They did one at about the halfway mark of the year, and then they did one for the wild card game. So we're about at the halfway mark of the year, so I figured they would probably update it with the next title update, which is this one, but they still haven't. And every time people ask them on Twitter about Play Now Live, they never actually answer the question anymore. So maybe they're done with it altogether now. I don't know, but they will not speak on it. Based on last year, it should be updated. If not this update, maybe the next one. But it's not a guarantee at this point because they aren't even sending any messaging as it pertains to this feature anymore. Superstar mode updates. It says here they fixed an issue with the UI where a different position save is seen on the superstar loadout screen. They fixed an issue where the overall and abilities did not change after avatar reset. They fixed an issue where franchise PS5 activity began when the combine started. They fixed UI interface where the rotate button was not visible in the avatar creation hub. They fixed UI interface where the speed boost reward had no icon in the level path. They fixed various issues with stability. They fixed an issue in Showdown where the button hints flash repeatedly on the ready up screen. They updated the featured deals tile in Showdown. They fixed an issue with the server error showing up when entering Showdown. They fixed an issue preventing the celebration wheel from displaying after a user sack in the end zone in Superstar Showdown. Now, this is again a mode that I don't really play. I think there may be some other issues in here. Let me know below. I know I've seen some people complain about a couple things. I don't know if all of that was fixed with this update, but these are the fixes that we do have. Hey, if you're still here at this point of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you might as well go ahead and subscribe because you're clearly enjoying the content, and that way you can never miss out on any of these Madden updates or updates about upcoming football games. Now let's move on to the NFL authenticity and presentation. I know a lot of people have been waiting for a number of these things. So a few things they did here. They added Randy Moss's signature touchdown celebration, which if you play MUT, you'll see that. If you don't play MUT, then you won't see it. They updated DJ Chark's signature TD celebration. They updated the Oakley visor tabs to match the new updated style being used this season on field. So you can see here, they've got the slightly updated Oakley visor. Nothing too crazy, but matching what's on field is important to a lot of people, and that has now been addressed. It says here they fixed an issue with clipping on the Adidas Adizero Prime Net cleats. I actually had not seen that. I'm sure some people might have, but whatever that was, they have now fixed it. They fixed an issue with the seam pattern on the Lions jerseys. Not sure what that was. I'm guessing it was maybe just the wrong pattern, but now if you look at the Lions jerseys, this is what it looks like now. Don't remember exactly what it looked like before, but whatever the issue was, it has been addressed. New face scans. Now, once again, thought we'd get more face scans. For some reason, we're getting them with every update, which is good, but it's such a small amount, and I just don't understand why. There's so many players that need to be scanned in, and granted, I know some of these players just simply don't make the time to get scanned in, but of the players they do have, I know they have more than this, and I just don't know why we get such little with each update, but we got some important ones that people have been waiting for, like Commanders quarterback Sam Howell. I told you a while ago that he was coming because they spoke on him specifically, so now the Commanders QB is officially in Madden 24, looking pretty solid. We also got Devon Achane of the Dolphins. He was one of the guys that was looking like a Rookie of the Year candidate before he got hurt. He was absolutely tearing it up. He should be back soon, but they got his likeness in the game looking good as well. We also got another Dolphins rookie, cornerback Cam Smith, and you'll notice a lot of times you see multiple players from the same team when they do these updates, because sometimes they actually go to the facilities to get multiple players that they don't have, so usually that batch will come at the same time, so there's like multiple Dolphins in this one. Last update, we got the Tyreek Hill update, so they probably got all of those guys at the same time, and you'll notice as we go on, we have a few Chiefs players this time around, so usually when they go to a facility, they're going to get as many guys as they can, and they usually all kind of get updated at the same time. Moving on, we've got another rookie, Trenton Simpson of the Ravens. We saw some other Ravens guys get updated in the previous update, so now they finally got Trenton Simpson in as well, so Ravens fans, you now have his player likeness in the game. Moving on to some veterans here, we've got Isaiah Pacheco, second-year guy. A lot of people have been asking for him. He's finally in the game with his hair on point. The thing with the lighting in this game, though, is just kind of weird, is the lighting, and maybe it's partly the ray tracing, I don't know, but it makes some of these guys' hair look lighter than it is, like almost blonde in the player screen, which is a little weird, but the hair itself looks on point. Face scan looking good for the Chiefs' 7th round pick last year, I believe he was, and he's just been balling out. And finally, we got Chris Jones in the game. I think Chris Jones himself even made a comment on this some months back, so they probably went out to Kansas City recently, got a few guys. Maybe there's some more guys on the way in the next update, but Chris Jones, one of the best defensive players in the league, an X-Factor player in the game. It's good that they finally got him in here. And after all these years, we finally have Shaquille Leonard in the game, one of the better linebackers in the league. Been in the league for quite some time. Finally got him in the game for the Colts, so I know he's one that's been asked about for quite some time, and it's good to finally see him in the game. And they also updated A.J. Brown. They updated his hairstyle, but the funny thing about this is they're a little late on it because now he's kind of grown his hair out more. So this is kind of what he looked like more last season with the Eagles, and they probably got this face scan maybe during the off season or something, and they're just now getting it into the game. But at this point of the season, his hair's kind of grown out a little bit longer, so this isn't 100% what he looks like now. It's more what he looked like last year and coming into this season, but regardless, it's more of an update than his previous scan. As mentioned previously, they also added the Deutsche Bank Park in Frankfurt, Germany to support the NFL Frankfurt game. So kind of just giving a little brief look at the stadium here. It's now in franchise mode for the Germany games, but you can use them in the play now if you just want to play in the stadium. It's a pretty sick stadium. So now it's finally represented in the game, which is cool. They also fixed a couple of other presentation issues. They fixed an issue with injured starting QBs appearing during pre-game tunnel runouts, which is pretty important because that just looks goofy. They also fixed an issue with incorrect text appearing on stats banner while in the pre-game studio set. They also added a note here about the UI. They said the team has made many updates since launch and is happy to report this is our last update about prioritization of UI transitions. The team has been working on improvements since launch, optimizing the high traffic screens inside of Ultimate Team, Superstar, and Franchise. So now all of the transitions and the loading screens should move a lot smoother than they had been. At the beginning of the year, some of these areas were pretty rough. Seems like they're a lot better now. And it says here that they also updated 185 player portraits. So I believe that means when you're looking at the players like inside franchise mode on their player cards, and they have the little picture, like the same picture you would see on NFL.com when you're in the player card. Some of those are outdated. A lot of guys update them year to year, so they updated 185 of these player portraits to match their current look. Now, we also recently just got a ton of news about the upcoming EA Sports College football game that EA is putting out in a few months, and if you want that information, you can check out this video right here on the screen.